Uh, Good afternoon again. Welcome back. Welcome back for our next presentation. With the privilege, let me introduce Laura Williams. Laura Williams, she's one of our senior managers at the Cardiff Youth Services. Also works responsible for street-based provision. Now I'll give pleasure to you, Laura, to take your part. As I said earlier on, please mute your microphone. If you have any questions, please put on the chat box. My colleagues, Dale and Carl, will flag them up. And also, you can just raise your hand if you have any question, if you can't access the chat. Thank you. Floor to you, Laura.
Thank you, Juma. Like Juma said, my name's Laura Williams. I'm one of the youth service managers, and I've been in the service for about 15 years, and in this current role for coming up for 2 years now. And street-based teams is one of the teams that I manage. So I've just been asked today just to really give you a brief outline of what the street-based team has been delivering in response to COVID from July, so following the previous lockdown, the initial lockdown. Although we've been faced with significant challenges during this time, we've taken this time, or I suppose you could say we have been forced to take this opportunity to reflect on what we've been doing, and actually everybody stepped up and have become more creative in your approaches, and we've been able to use this time to become more innovative in the ways that we do work. So like many organisations, we've made huge advances in digital media, and then the next workshops you'll see some of the team are going to show you how they've utilised QR codes. So for us as a service, that's been a really big task, but we've had that time to be able to do those things. But the core of the work, as for many organisations, has been street-based youth work. So, at the initial onset of the pandemic, youth workers, youth mentors, managers alike, we all took to the streets to support young people and be, visible within their communities. This was a huge ask for many of our workforce, like Graham discussed earlier and Matthew touched upon, the fact that a lot of youth workers work within buildings, within provisions, within a comfort zone, and asking them at that point to step out onto the streets and to engage with young people where they are strangers was a big ask. But actually we put that workforce development in place. We spent a couple of months building up to that point, and everybody stepped up to the challenge and adapted to that change in needs. So from a service point of view, we've come so far in developing our workforce as well. We've invested in branded clothing and the website, all these things just to make our street-based youth workers really visible in the communities. And Nick spoke about how we should be role models. Well, the street-based youth workers over the last number of months have been those visible youth role models within communities for all our young people to look up to, and actually they've been welcomed by young people as well as the general public, as well as community members. So I just do want to say a massive thank you as well to everybody who's taken their time to really find that, I don't know, what do I say, confidence to try something different, to adapt to the new challenge or a way of working. So we do want to be celebrating that, as well as planning for going forward, celebrating actually how far we've come during this really challenging and quite traumatic time for some. Okay, so I know I asked Graham a quick question about data, really, but obviously as a manager, we need to be promoting the services that we're delivering, to make sure everybody knows, where we are, what we're doing. So I've got a few slides just showing some really basic data covering the work from last July following that first lockdown. So this data, it is basic, it does represent just a snapshot in time, and obviously, yeah, it has been monitoring the service that we've been providing, but actually it does have its use, and it is anonymous data, but for us, it's enabled us to just identify key themes, key trends, commonalities across the city, where to inform our practice, where to be putting resources. So it has been quite useful to have this on a monthly basis during this time. So the initial aim for the street-based youth work wasn't to start activities or engaging in projects. It was purely just to engage with young people who are already on the streets, to engage them in those conversations like Graham spoke about earlier, asking young people why they were out, how they were feeling. For some young people, it's the first time they've spoken to youth workers in a couple of months since they'd last seen them in the centre, but actually promoting that positive, that public health message, and positive, having positive discussions about, social distancing. Did they understand? Just being there as a sounding board for young people so they can explore those issues with somebody. In many cases, street-based work has kept a large number of young people safe during COVID, and this has been evidenced as well through the work that we've been doing. Teams have continually supported young people in crisis, whether that's delivering food parcels or young youth mentors engaging with young people on their caseload, every so often, providing support for young people experiencing challenging and difficult issues, and really targeting those most vulnerable, and just to ensure, do they need some time away from their families? Is there a hub that they could go to? Just keeping that ongoing support there. And also this, for me, this is all been working towards reinforcing communications between social services, children's services, the youth justice service, for example, to ensure, we've got holistic support for that young person, but also not everybody's there saying the same message. We identified whether it's a key organisation working with a young person or a key lead person that's the main contact for that young person. So by sharing that information, we've, been able to communicate better and share that information, but also, not bombard young people with, support. Hang on a sec, just go back. So a focus for development going forward really should be, it could be about the development for named, when I say named data, I mean like a move away from anonymous data, but valuing anonymous data, because actually youth workers that are on the street-based youth workers are meeting those young people on a weekly basis, and it might be that they're coming in contact with the same young people, and we're all building those relationships. So how do we document that? So that maybe is a question for the forum later on, is that how are we going to be evidencing actually the real true impact of the work that you're doing, not just counting numbers and the male and female split or the age groups that we're working with, but what it is, what we're actually doing, and how can we demonstrate that? Recently, I know the digital youth work team's been out recording some documentaries with young people about their lived experience. So I'm just asked Dale if he might share that within the chat, the links to the website and to the Youth Service YouTube channel. So going forward, maybe there's big developments there. So all our teams offer information, support and guidance, and we've recently invested in technology over the pandemic just to ensure that staff have got access to technology. They're able to provide information, support and guidance to young people out on the spot, without the need for paper or leaflets or handing things out. So it's there digitally, which has been really beneficial. But looking at this data, there's obviously where the number of ISG engagements obviously significantly less than the number of contacts that we've been making. So for me, the question would be where, what are the factors influencing this? Maybe why are we not engaging in conversations with young people? Or if we are engaging, why are we not recording this? So, it's not saying there's a right or a wrong way, or we haven't been doing work, that we're out there engaging with young people. It's just, I think we need to maybe develop how we're recording things and what it is that's the most important thing to record. And in terms of themes, then you can clearly see education's been a consistent theme right across the city throughout the pandemic. Relationships and lifestyle, along with health issues, have been constant themes for discussion. How young people are feeling, what are they experiencing, have they had follow-on support, that kind of thing. There's a spike in employment and training in August, and I think that depicts our intense summer transition programme that we offer within the mentoring service, which spilled out into the street this year for year 11 leavers. So, supporting them to secure education, training, employment destinations in September, which for them, there was a real significant worry that would their placement still be offering? Would the destination be what they were expecting? When they were expecting face-to-face and they suddenly realised that it's online engagement, there was, young people were telling us there were significant worries and fears about, what they were going to be doing in September. And then just finally on this slide, the sports and leisure. So, you could argue, these are high at holiday times or in the summer when facilities have been limited. Young people have been gathering in parks and fields, and that's where the youth workers have been engaging with them. So in this instance, localised data is proving really beneficial. So some teams of the area, they've really unpicked and analysed the data that they've been sending in, the results of that data, just to ensure they're capturing the needs of young people, and they're really informing that local delivery, and that's been really valuable throughout this time. So, like Graham and Matt also alluded to earlier on, our vision really now is how to ensure we develop a sustainable street-based youth work model going forward. The rationale for our direction of travel is clearly mapped out in the youth work strategy, and evidence also shows that the views and input and evaluation of young people and youth work professionals does work in developing services and influencing policy. But how can we, really make sure we have a sustainable model for recording young people's lived experience, that it's not just a one-off, now we're doing this, when we get back, whatever our new normal or the normal is, or whatever way we're working, how do we make sure that these things continue and they're sustainable? And how can we make sure that young people's voices and experience do influence the development in the city and across the region, as well as at a national level? So we must really utilise the processes that we've got in place to ensure those outcomes happen. So, for example, the Cardiff Youth Council or the Interim Youth Work Board to influence policy at various levels. So those processes are in place. We've just got to make sure, that we're fully utilising those. And finally, I just wanted to end by saying thank you to all of you for attending today, and a massive thank you to our guest speakers and workshops, people delivering the workshops this afternoon. It is really great to see such energy and passion for developing street-based youth work. It's often, yes, we do this and it's a normal thing that everybody does. It's a part of the youth work process, but it's not always recognised. But really, this pandemic has just thrown street-based youth work to the forefront of what we do. In Cardiff, street-based youth workers are the face of, you know, on face-to-face delivery at the moment, you know, and going forward, we want to make sure that that's sustained, and, you know, we're just growing and growing. So the forum will be, for me, a really exciting opportunity and space for this work to develop and, you know, grow and include lots of agencies, organisations, different sectors, you know, across the city and in the wider counties, you know, just to ensure, you know, we link up with the forums that are happening in Swansea or in Wales wide or further. So yeah, some really positive work. So I hope you find the following workshops really interesting and inspirational as well, and you enjoy the rest of the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laura. Much appreciated for all the information. I believe our participants here have taken more information what we are doing at the team or what we are planning to do.